It's okay. Can you hear that? Good. All right, good evening. And so I think we are doing this public speech for many years in Tokyo, but this year we changed the place to new venues. It's quite inspiring, actually, very nice. Anyway, I can see a lot of similar faces again. That's very nice to see again. Anyway, I will give talk based on I must remember the titles. What is the real purpose of your life? So that is the title. This public talk, the same title, I was almost 20, 30 times given the talk, just 3 months or 4 months in Europe. So now I'm in Australia to give it the same title in Australia. Today is the second public talk in Australia. So I will introduce a little bit why we choose this title, because there was a request from the journalist and some other very common people. So they said they need help from the lineage to how we can improve way of living and way of life in a business, health, relationship, many levels. And I think it's important to be must picked as a current requirement, so how we can support them. And therefore we choose this subject to give the method and the skills how we can support this requirement, this matters. So what I will try to give this lineage also from the Dzogchen we call lineage, very ancient lineage. There's a time we describe time is around 2,500 years ago, but this lineage is started actually earlier than that, but there's a lineage is 2,500 years ago, then continually went to Tibet, Himalaya, then continually back to India again. So it's interesting, India was started 2,500 years ago, but India is lost and went to Himalayas. So the Himalaya maintains compared to India, but sometimes we are bringing the same old ancient lineage back to India, so they are looking to us. So you brought the old lineage back to our country again. But this lineage is very practical. Not as something to believe or something to as a religious. I'm not saying religious is wrong, but it's very simple and very practical. And so that's why I think everyone can practice and exercise. And you can see the result on the spot. We are not saying you will get something, but you can experience on the spot. But it's not necessary to get somewhere else. It's something already it belongs to you. So that's why it is very special. It's very special. Because I studied Buddhist philosophy over 30 years. I completed my master of Buddhist philosophy. But until I got this Dzogchen, I'm not satisfied, because I keep searching for answer. So always there's a question. There's never enough answer to a question that I'm looking for. But there's a lot of answer by a lot of questions I have in my mind by philosophy, meditation, ritual. They give a lot of answer. But at the end, this particularly Dzogchen, once I've got these transmissions, and then they give all the answers complete, and there's no more questions. And then I was very, I feel completely, now I got it, everything. So I don't need any more questioning and searching or looking for something. Everything is within us. So that was very impressed to experience that. Anyway, so don't think everyone can experience like what I have. It is no big deal. Everyone can go through. But anyway, what I'd like to share tonight, my little experience is over 30, 40 years what I've done. So that's what I'd like to introduce a little bit. On the base of the lineage, I will introduce how we can help to very ancient lineage. From that, I can choose a certain particular subject, how we can help to, these matters, what we are facing the problems. So anyway, But at the end, the subject of this now, when we try to really focus on the mind. So that the science in the Buddhist science, we talk about the mind is very important issues, the mind. But as a mind, it's an interesting example from Dzogchen we given. The mind is like one monkey in one building and 5 different windows. So each window they can see, this monkey can see different window, but there's only one monkey. But outside of the house, look like there's 5 monkey. People get confused about that. So look like there's 5 monkey. Because the same monkey was visiting each windows to looking through these different windows. The same things also we also believe in, look like we got many minds, because some minds you can hear, some mind you can see, some mind can smell, some mind can taste, some mind can tangibly talk. We've got so many minds, but not at all, just one mind. But we have a different access as a mind, through eye, different senses, ear, nostril, tongue, and tangible feelings. But then from that, because the mind, one, the main consciousness, and then they have a different branch consciousness to connect to the different relative world. And we experience different things, different pictures, different shape, different color. And then begin to then like and dislike. So we start a different experience through this access through your own eyes. So then we started also love, hate, everything started by even eye. You can look at something very pleasant you see or you like that, and then something unpleasant you see, you don't like it, you hate it. So this is how access can make it be different emotions, different experience we can go through. Just one axis of your own eyes. And the various ear, sound, like music. When you listen some nice music, you like it. Sometimes you don't like this music, this song, different choice. Sometimes you don't like this music, but someone like it. But there's no one thing everybody like it. It's very difficult. Some people like jazz, some people like pop. So it's difficult. You can't make one music for like everyone. So similar, the same smell and the taste, the different flavor of the food, Chinese, European, or Japanese, Indians, Indians are quite curries and quite strong taste, but it's quite good actually, but very spicy. So you need to be a very strong stomach, otherwise you can't digest. People come to India from Australia, when they cook Indian food, I think people are a bit, they love the taste, but they got a little bit problem for next day. But anyway, so these are the examples. So they are got a little bit cold today. So I have I don't know, Australia weather was a little bit cold. I came from Europe. India is very warm. And suddenly cold is something changed in my physical body. But anyway, I believe our body is impermanent. Keep changing. Anyway, so different experience through different consciousness and different senses. So from that then we started different emotions. For example, like when you have a good sleep, good dream, and a wonderful night, wake up, you feel very comfortable, very happy, isn't it? So, oh my goodness, what a wonderful day. You make yourself happy, you make everyone happy. And the next day, you have a very bad sleep, a bad dream, wake up, you become so grumpy. So you make yourself is totally disturbed, you make everyone disturbed. So you see this, how much it changes. Your feelings will never be stable, keep changing. Never be continuity. But that's not, I'm not saying it is wrong from this Dzogchen point of view. It's just we try to recognize. We must recognize each feelings, each emotions are impermanent. Keep changing, never be permanent. So because we live in this base, impermanent base, we call metaphors. Means nothing is permanent. Everything changes. Even the life, the day the baby is born, already old, isn't it? So then it's aging by itself. But why we experience of age? Because of we call old age. Why is the experience of old age? Because someday we are at the teenage, isn't it? There's no teenage, there's no old age, isn't it? And there's no birth, there's no death. So why we experience of death? Because we are born. So that is Buddhist philosophy. They talk about interdependence. Everything's interdependence. And this interdependence is impermanent. Interdependence, these are the very important to recognize, to understand. And that can help us we can make our lives very stable and without surprise or shocking to when things change comes. You can see, for example, like emotions. Well, is the relationship, like 20, 30 years ago, we have a certain kind of very much trust and certain believing. After 30 years, you break that believing. Different, isn't it? Never be the same. But that is nothing wrong. That's a life. That's a samsara we call life. But not to get surprised to see as impermanent, not to believing is permanent. So this is very important. That's why we need that view. So if you have that view, it's impermanent as impermanence. Everything, relationship, friends, business, health, wealth, weather, any commitment, it keeps changing. So because of the believing, there's 3 times, isn't it? The time is the big issues in our life, past and the future and the present. In the past, we have a lot of traumatized, different experience. In the future, a lot of worries and fears. So we never relax. We're just too much going back to the past worries, those experiences. In the future, we're also very much worried. And then we cannot relax in the present moment. Keep on worrying, isn't it? We cannot enjoy a way of life. So therefore, in this lineage Dzogchen, we also introduce, we can still survive and we can live you can enjoy the samsara, this way of life, within the chaos of this world. But simultaneously, we can also build, it's a permanent, we call everlasting happiness. You can remain peace forever, never change. But our peace, our happiness, it changes all the time, never be permanent. So for example, like our kind of happiness, relatively we experience happiness. We work so hard. 99% we work, or maybe 95, let's say. 95% we work and 5% we enjoy. So high maintenance of this happiness, isn't it? But that's also not permanent. It keeps changing. You can enjoy short term, then finish. It's gone. It's quite disappointed, isn't it? So you work so hard at somewhere you reach, and then it change again. But that's how it's structured. That's what we call relative function. So relative function is sometimes Sanskrit we call karma. Karma is nothing else, just the way relative systems. So and therefore we talk about the mind has the 2 power. We call the relative mind has the 2 power, positive and negative. So we must understand each power does what. Is your own mind. Everybody got a mind, don't get it wrong, not only me, you got mine too. But everybody has a different belief and different thoughts, different habit. That's how it is. But difference is my mind is a little bit trained by spiritual over 30, 40 years. And that's why I don't want to follow crazy my mind. I try to recognize my mind. I recognize my emotions. I recognize my anger. I recognize my jealousy. And before they dominate my mind, I try to say, hold on, I know you. So I don't want to let them just drive me nuts. Otherwise it's quite dangerous, they just drive me totally crazy. So therefore it's important to training of my mind. It's also stage 1, mind train the mind is very helpful. But at the end, of course, there's nothing to do with the mind, something else to do, we call it's a rest of mind. It's incredible rest in the mind. That I will tell you later. Anyway, so what we need to do now, to recognize each of our mind, and we have a different emotions, sometimes happy, sometimes sad, sometimes so whatever experience. But we cannot hold, not having grasping, say, I need only this happiness, I don't want this sadness or this, inconvenient way of life. But that we cannot, of course, it's keep on changing. But we can maintain If you're looking for happiness to continuity or within the impermanence, we can do that too. So therefore we call cause and effect, we call karma. So therefore I try to introduce you to true power of the mind, positive in the relative, within the relative. Mind is, when mind gets distracted, they go to two power. One is positive power of the mind, the negative power of mind. The negative power of the mind, like anger, the jealousy, greedy, selfish, these are the kind of bad energy of the mind that can bring, they bring us more obstacles, health issues, lot of obstacles we can face by those actions or those different thoughts and different minds, whatever we call it. And then sometimes we get confused why we're suffering, why we got this disease, why we have this problem. But actually we create this problem ourselves in the past. And then we are facing, this, what we call the consequences. It's coming back to the result of what we invest. So if you invest those anger, definitely return is suffering. And if you invest to being selfish, and return is suffering again, nothing else. And if you invest generous, compassion, loving kindness, what will return is happiness and health, good wealth. And it remains a relationship will be very stable. Sometimes people think about the relationship problem, just me and her, or he or me, or whatever, her or him. We all talk about just focus on the just relationship itself. But actually it's not the relationship, it's not the problem. But there's a lineage, the history of the problem has come from. You have to know. There's something's wrong, that's why we got a problem. So therefore, if you practice compassion, loving kindness, and what can bring, and your relationship remains continue and more fun, and then stress. Sometimes our relationship is quite stressful, isn't it? Because the true mind, that's the problem, not the relation problem. As long as the mind is there, there's a lot of headache. So if the mind is not settled and peace and rest. So one mind itself is how complicated do you see that yourself? And two mind is more problem, definitely. So therefore, what we can improve is the two different minds to live together. So both minds need to be recognize each other, to realize, and also to learn to more rest and not to get too distracted. So that can help you to remain your relationship with the parents, kids to parents, parents to parents, or friend to friend. So you can remain. See, of course, someone is today not happy. Yeah, I understand. I think he's a little bit grumpy today. Okay, I don't put more fuel, otherwise it becomes a big fire again. And there's a fire. If in Australia, there's a bushfire comes. You're not supposed to put anything nearby, otherwise it make a bigger more fire, isn't it? So if you need to reduce the flame, you're not supposed to put any fuel, otherwise, it can be a big flame again. Someone is a little bit upset, so what you should do? You need to practice patience and kindness. Create the space. It's better than just irritating, no good. So then you make more worse. So if you know this situation, then you can make a good balance. You listen. Sometimes it's very important. Sometimes we make such a big deal of some sound. Just listen from like this right ear, and you can out from the left ear. You don't need to store in your brain, But just it's like a sound, It's not a big deal. But then our mind makes such a big deal. So, this is something I like it, something I don't like it. I hate this. I want to challenge, revenge. All these crazy thoughts comes, makes us very crazy. And therefore, it's important sometimes just listen, not to take too serious. Just let come, let go. That's what Dzogchen usually does. When you say let come, you can't block them to not to speak because they keep talking. You have to listen. You can't say shut up. You can't tell them. You have to listen whatever they're talking. But you don't need to be kind of react by this, what they're talking, good and bad. Sometimes talking is very nice. Oh, you feel very comfortable. Thank you. Somebody talking rubbish, there's So it doesn't matter they're talking rubbish or they're talking nice. Just the sound anyway. It's no big deal. And therefore you can relax. Okay, now talking nice. Maybe after a few hours they may talk rubbish again. Who knows? Now talking rubbish. Maybe later 2 years they may be talking something nice. That's why we don't know. People changing, keep on changing mind and their motivation, their feelings. It's quite difficult to continue. It is difficult. So in that case, you can have the space to recognize if you react of anger to anger, it's not good, isn't it? It's terrible. You destroyed yourself, your peace, you destroyed the other peace on the other side, you destroyed the atmosphere, everyone makes such a bad energy. That bad energy can destroy all peace, terrible. That's why Shantideva said, the millions in Kabbalahs of accumulated merit and the positive karma can destroy the one single anger. It's a very, very powerful negative power. Anger is very, very bad, destroying all peace. So you have to be very careful to anger is not so good. Careful. But anyway, you must recognize your anger before anger comes. It is not so helpful, it is not useful at all. So therefore it's important to recognize those anger. But don't follow them. But anger comes. Sometimes we can't help it. Sometimes anger comes, sometimes compassion comes, sometimes kindness comes, sometimes it's a jealousy will comes, and just like a shower of thoughts, all sort of thoughts coming. We can't handle. It comes and goes. But I think it's important. If you more encouraging positive power of the mind, like compassion, loving kindness, this can bring more benefit in your life within this short period of life, 100 years or 130 years, whoever lives. So within the impermanence, but still kind of short-term permanent. So you can live more healthy, wealthy, less stress, less health issues. So that's why there is a benefit. That's why we are saying if you practice compassion, loving kindness, and to understand things are impermanent, and also having the view of interdependence, that can help us we can survive life without panic and worries, because we know how our life is, how it functions. So we don't need to worry what's going on next, But something could have happened sometimes due to the past karmic resolution. Something you've done good. That's why you're here. So today we are all together. We all done a great karma, maybe I don't know when. I don't know why I end up here. All the way come from India to here. I have no idea. And I don't know you guys all the way to meet me in this very interesting place. I have no clue. But this is interdependence. There's so many details together to make it happen. It is a very, very interesting, we call kind of digital karma, to make it all together, make one kind of gathering tonight. So it means I believe, as myself, I think I've done a good karma to get this opportunity to share my spiritual experience. And also, very good karma for you to can have this opportunity to hear. So it means it's a positive resolution. So maybe we've done good, something we've done great in the past, definitely. But unluckily it's going to change again. After 1 hour we are going to dissolve. So we cannot maintain this continue. Maybe you enjoy this half an hour going through this little bit of experience and you feel quite comfortable. I believe you guys come to public talk, Buddhist public talk, to release the stress, but not to create the stress, isn't it? So I believe everybody come for fun, to come here, to something you learn and something you can take home, and something you can get it from this, and having a lot of fun, not to have another stress. So I believe this is fun, not to stress. Yeah? So therefore, I wish we can have a fun tonight. Yeah, not to be too serious. We can have a fun too. So anyway, based on what we try to explain you the positive power of the mind is very, very helpful. So much as you can do, practice compassion, to care to other people. If you care for someone, definitely, naturally, you are the winner. That's why what does they do? Is the bodhisattvas in Buddhism, bodhisattvas. Bodhisattvas are one of the great practitioners in Buddhism. But they can achieve one of the best in Buddhism. Why they can achieve? Because they realize the relative structures and absolute structures. And they understood how it's operating, how it functions. And they're really great scientists. They know how to operate. That's what the Einstein said, the great scientists live in the Himalaya mountains, in those little caves. Those great masters. These are the great bodhisattvas. Why we call scientists? These people are the great scientists because they can live with totally unconditional way. They can survive with all this chaos. They can live very peaceful, and they can totally get freedom within this very chaos and unconditional kind of way of living, and they can remain peace and happy within that. And of course, the scientists, the modern scientists, they can create a lot of things, but at the end, we've got more more mess than more benefit sometimes, isn't it? We create a lot of plastics, but we don't know how to dissolve. And we create a lot of pollution, we don't know where to send it. We create a lot of nuclear waste, we don't know where to dump. So that's why sometimes we call this one way helpful, but another way we are destroying. So it means that there's a kind of there's a wisdom, but it's not really helping every corner. It's just one way help, one way harms. So therefore, also, lots of people are, including the scientists themselves, it's called going through the suffering. So it means that they cannot handle this way of life. So that shows they are great scientists, but they can't handle their emotions, their stress. So those great practitioners, bodhisattvas, living in cave, so they can handle. They are not relying on this all this material or this relative system. They are going beyond that, so they can remain very peaceful. That's why they are great scientists. They can enjoy forever. Amazing. So they don't need this support. They don't need this material. They don't need iPhone. They don't need iPod. They don't need Apple. They don't need internet. They don't need any comfortable support. They can live very basic, but they can enjoy. So I think difficult for us because we have this habit. We build this habit, old habit. Sometimes good old habit, sometimes bad old habit anyway. But I think good old habit, we can keep it. So maybe bad old habit, we can slowly reduce it better. So we can improve, more good habit can bring some more health for yourself, good health, good life. So and therefore, I think the first method is how we can make it, a real purpose, your life. What is real purpose of your life is, if you really adapt the compassion, bodhicitta we call it, bodhicitta, and in your system, and the business, family, everywhere. So then I think the real purpose of your life is a begin. It brings everything. So the purpose of your life is in the meaning of your life is a begin. That's missing in these days, and I think everywhere. I think even in business. I think some business, I believe it's good. In the past 100 years, 50 years ago, I think we practiced a lot, but now it's changing. Even the work, people are missing it's compassion, isn't it? People are doing a job in a shop, industry, organization level, whatever you do. People are just, there's no integration between the employers and the company owners. They are not having interacting each other. There's no compassion to each other is missing. They say, okay, someone is not good, fire them, put someone else inside. That's it. So I think that is a little bit shame. We are missing that. So everything you got a very good structure in Europe, in Australia, America. You have compared to Asia, you got